So here at the QE2 Centre, HBI 2022, I am joined by Pete Wharton-Hood, who is the Group CEO of Life Healthcare, South Africa's second largest hospital group. You own the diagnostic imaging provider Alliance Medical in the UK, Ireland and in Italy, and also the radiopharma business Life Molecular Imaging. But Pete, you're a bit of a fraud, aren't you? You came into healthcare from banking, bit of an accident, I gather, and now here you are nearly 2 years in. How are you managing?
So I'm probably one of the luckiest people that I know to have landed the job in an industry this exciting with this many challenges, albeit in the middle of a pandemic. I was blessed with the opportunity and loving it. And lots of people said similarities with banking.
Are there?
80% of my job is very similar to a bank. You have tech, IT, HR, regulatory, staffing issues, and so on. And 20% of my job, I know nothing.
But have they found that out yet?
Fortunately, I've got very, very good people.
So what about that? And then coming into this role, as the pandemic was breaking and getting going, you move into healthcare. What sort of lessons are there from the pandemic that could be taken forward beneficially?
Well, the way it broke itself down was in 3 phases. It was a clinical crisis to start with, and the clinicians were literally running around all over the world trying to figure it out. Then it became a financial crisis, and you saw businesses go to the wall, you saw healthcare providers such as ourselves lose money, and you saw the world at large, growth started to stumble. But it manifested itself in a leadership crisis. So the real lessons learned in Life Healthcare were the deliberate decisions we took to decentralize decision-making in a crisis. We took it away from the center, and we put our hospital managers in charge, and we let them make the decisions. And in so doing, we became very agile and very flexible and very responsive. And in so doing, our organization dealt with the clinical, the financial, and the leadership crisis simultaneously.
But does that model work if it's not a crisis? Can you take that forward and embed it in long-term healthcare?
That's exactly what we've done. Our hospital managers are closest to our patients. They make the right decisions. So once you put the right people in place, that decentralized model, provided it's well-disciplined and well-controlled on a hands-off basis, it works. And it's certainly one that we subscribe to.
And of course, one of the key demands or requirements has been an increase in imaging diagnostics, and that's an area that you're very involved in. What about those opportunities? What's going on there, and what do you see coming up?
Well, our big businesses are in the UK, Italy, and Ireland. You heard our speakers earlier this morning talking about significant backlogs in elective procedures. Elective procedures require diagnostics and imaging before they get completed. And in so doing, that means there's a big backlog in diagnostics, and we need to clear the backlog. So there's pent-up demand. It is a very important part of any clinical pathway. And so it's not only right for the patient, it's also a good business to be in to be able to deliver against that demand.
But how can that then be achieved?
Well, it requires substantial infrastructure, it requires lots of people. And we heard our speakers talk earlier today about shortages of staff. And you'll see we're short of radiographers, and the world is short of radiologists. So a lot is said about how artificial intelligence will close down that gap. You will always need radiologists, you will always need radiographers, and we need more of them.
And what about AI then? Where do you see that in the future? Where do you see its role?
It certainly has its critics, and certainly well-established practitioners are a little bit critical of AI, but I see it as a natural part of the evolution of technology. If one thinks about what happened in the aviation industry, airplanes can fly themselves, but you'd never get onto an airplane that didn't have a pilot. I think there'll be a large number of diagnostic procedures where the computer is ably suited to be able to do it fast and effectively. But you as the patient will want to know that the radiologist signed it off. So I think AI will speed up the process, but it'll never usurp the professional responsibility of the radiologist.
So you've come into this industry at a time of exponential change and growth. What do you see ahead? Where would you like to see the healthcare business going?
I think that the way that the processes are developing is we're fast realizing that care is not just episodic. That looking after a patient requires before, during, and after care and attention. And I think that the industry's been fragmented in the way that the service gets delivered. And I think the time has come to get to better coordination. So in the South African settings, we talk about value-based care. And value-based care is where the provider takes complete responsibility end to end for a fixed fee making sure that the clinical quality is never compromised. But now you've got a vested interest in making sure that it's both efficient and that the patient is well cared for. And that care continuum, I think, becomes the next frontier. Some countries and some operators have really got it right. It's a drive that we are definitely pursuing.
Well, thank you very much for your insights, Pete Wharton Hood. Thank you.
Thank you.